Hi guys, MrRoflWaffles here. Since perks were first introduced in Verrückt in 2009, the way that we play Call of Duty Zombies has changed a lot. It used to be that you would just find a corner that looked comfortable, you'd sit in it until you got overrun, and then you'd just do it all over again in your next game. Whereas these days, obviously, we're going to massive high rounds, we're solving crazy complex Easter eggs, and we're hoarding up horde after horde of zombies with no real trouble. There have been various attempts over the years from Treyarch to modernize the perk system to take this new playstyle into account. For example, it was realized quite early on that double tap was really not that effective in the earlier COD Zombies titles, and so they realized, okay, maybe we need to make it so that it doubles your damage as well as doubles your fire rate, and that'll make it a more attractive perk for people to buy. Similarly, you had really interesting perks like Tombstone and Who's Who and Widow's Wine introduced, which all mixed up the formula in their own ways. But in Black Ops 3, the meta kind of shifted away from perks a little bit. We basically started looking more towards gobblegums, I think, in order to get those power boosts that we wanted, or to just get the perks we wanted, get extra slots and things like that as well. And I think it meant that there was basically less motivation for Treyarch to really meddle with the perk system too much, because hey, gobblegums were working fine, we were busy with that, and so why would they tinker with it and add a lot of new ones every single map and things like that? Then, as we all know, Black Ops 4 came out, and the perk system was totally different. It was a real surprise to me, and at first I thought, okay, this makes perfect sense, right? If they've looked at the numbers and they've seen that in every game, every player 90% of the time or more buys Jug as their first perk, and if they only buy a perk, it's Jug, that could definitely be considered as a crutch perk, and maybe it would be a good idea to change that. And so they introduced swathes of new perks that were all designed to do varying different things, but not have that crutch kind of nature that Jug originally had, and that people also kind of gave to things like Speed Cola as well. The new system had a lot of things that I think it did well, but in my opinion, it also had things that it kind of missed the mark on. The fact that they were splitting the story between Chaos and Ether definitely didn't make their life any easier, because it meant that they had to make the machines more ambiguous, they had to make them cross over between those universes, those stories, and as such, they lost a lot of personality in my opinion, and it meant that I connected with the perk itself, the character of the perk, a lot less. Which is pretty crazy to say, because you'd think that just getting a couple of extra hit points wouldn't actually be something that I cared about in terms of character and style, but hey, I mean, Jug always had that, as did all the other perks, and so when that went away in Black Ops 4, to me, that was a net loss for the mode. Things have changed though in Cold War Zombies. The Juggernog that we once knew and loved is no longer the same, and nor are any of the other perks that are in the mode now. These changes begin with the design of the machines. I'm gonna have a couple of images on screen right now from the reveal trailer. I've been breaking it down and posting bits and pieces to my Twitter, my Instagram, my YouTube stories, my YouTube channel. I've been spreading info all over the place, but as you can see, the quick revive machine is a good example. The design of the machine is much more swanky now, actually, in my opinion. I think this is a really positive change. The original quick revive machine I love the design of. Don't get me wrong, it's a classic, it's iconic, and I wouldn't want to massively change it for the world. I think that it does its job just fine. But the new design, to me, actually looks like a real win. I love the fact that it basically looks like that original machine, except they've just sort of tightened up the screws on it a little bit, given it a bit of a polish, given it a new paint job, stuff like that, and really injected a bit of new life into it to fit also with the aesthetic of this 80s Nachtruntoten remake slash remastery slash new thing that we're getting with D Machina. That machine upgrade has happened with Juggernog as well and Speed Cola. That's nowhere near the biggest change coming to those OG perks though. Like Juggernog is getting a big boost, and we'll talk about that in a second, but first, I quickly want to get to Elemental Pop. The way Treyarch describes this is that it allows you to modify your ammo types in a pinch. Now, I'm assuming by modify ammo types, they mean alternate ammo types, like we saw in BO3 and BO4, such as Fireworks, Blast Furnace, and Deadwire, for example. Also, just a quick aside, those Black Ops 3 alternate ammo type names to me are just so nostalgic. Like, if I can jump in on launch day and get Fireworks on my gun, I'm gonna be over the moon, dude. I'm gonna be so happy, man. So I'm assuming it means those AATs, and if so, that's really interesting because it almost sounds like you could get all of them at once and then like hit one of your bumpers or something and literally switch the alternate ammo type on your gun in the moment. Like, you wouldn't have to go over to the Pack-a-Punch, spin the Pack-a-Punch again, hope that you get the one that you want. You could could literally just cycle through them, which, if true, if that's how that works, that sounds so cool to me. I also really wonder if Treyarch are wanting us to strategize with the AATs, like if there's some way we can almost combine them or time them, so we know that, for example, let's say Deadwire takes 10 seconds to pop, but maybe Fireworks take 20 seconds to pop, and so you can kind of repeat your Deadwire twice for any given Fireworks and end up with lots of AATs going off simply because of the fact that you're micromanaging your alternate ammo types so efficiently. That would raise the skill ceiling for sure for that perk and would be a cool addition, I think. But let me know what you think of that idea in the comments down below. There are also maybe some new alternate ammo types coming. So in the trailer, you actually see at one point blue grenades flying out of a zombie that's getting shot. And I'm not sure if this is just a frag grenade that's almost dropping for the player to pick it up, like if this is a usable drop somehow, or if this is actually an AAT being activated, and what will happen there is it'll go boom maybe and create like another cluster of grenades maybe if it kills another zombie or something like that. Like maybe there's a new AAT there that they've implemented and teased for us, but that could also be a drop as well, to be fair. This all sounds good, and I mean, as you saw in the trailer, Deadshot now looks phenomenal. That's got a fantastic overhaul. I'm much more attached to the quick revive machine than I was to the old Deadshot machine, and the new one, in my opinion, looks infinitely better, and I'm really confident that the Treyarch sound team are gonna have had a blast with that thing, making sure that it's absolutely riffing the entire time you're going past it in the map. But it's by the by, okay? The biggest change is that perks are now, finally, after so many years of waiting, upgradable. I cannot begin to describe how good this is for Black Ops Cold War zombies and just COD zombies in general. The fact that Treyarch have acknowledged the fact that we as a player base have always wanted more depth to the perk system, but in a way that gave us something to work towards, that gave us a goal to try and achieve. And it's unclear right now whether those upgrades are going to work like pro perks, which we'll talk about in a second, or if they'll just last for your session. But even if it's just in a session, almost like having a reactive camo, imagine you got a perk and it became sort of a reactive perk. So for instance, let's say you buy Jug, and after taking 30 hits, you get an extra hit on it or something like that. Or maybe you get a side ability, like you take 30 hits and then in times where you'd normally take full damage, you take 50% of the full damage. Stuff like that could potentially be added on as well. Or they could do both. I mean, they could hide certain abilities in the perks as well. They wouldn't have to be just like on the label sort of thing when you're reading the perk can. It could be that there's certain kind of sleeper abilities that we have to find out about as a community, and then you go into a game and you know, okay, if I buy Stamina Up and I run around the spawn area 15 times, then I get a certain thing. Like there could be deeper levels to the perk system based on that. I think that was a pretty poor idea, like a pretty poor example, but hopefully you get the idea of what I'm really talking about in general. The thing I'm hoping for, though, is the pro perk system. This is something that Lex made a video about months ago now. I'm not sure if I was even in the country when he made it. I might have been in the mountains or it might have been last year. I don't know. But it's basically an idea that the entire zombies community has had for so long now. I mean, I was seeing people on Twitter talking about this. I think Jaybird made a map or a mod with this in like 3 years ago. And even further back, there have been things like this that people have tried to implement. But having a persistent system in the game, almost like an RPG, which to some of you might sound scary, but bear with me, okay? Where you can basically invest some kind of currency in a certain perk. Let's say Stamina Up, for example. Stamina Up makes you run faster. Let's say that that is the only thing that at base Stamina Up does. It does nothing else, right? Maybe you invest this currency that's like a liquid divinium style thing, maybe a Nebulium plasma or whatever. You invest that into your Stamina Up, and the perk itself in your loadout, when you're looking at your character in the menus, that perk ends up with extra attributes as you continue to play, gain this kind of XP or plasma or divinium or whatever it is, and invest it into that perk continuously. This also gives Treyarch really easy access to giving rewards from Easter eggs, right? If they make it so that you do an Easter egg and you get a massive boost to whatever plasma type thing they're going to be using in this game, you would be completely incentivized to do an Easter egg, get the reward, pour the reward into the perks, do the Easter egg more easily, get the reward, build out the rest of your loadout, and then be better geared up for the next map, and so on and so forth. It's a player progression system that means that you're not just playing a map once and then going, okay, I'm dead now. Do I want to restart literally everything I just did, but maybe with like a red dot sight on my gun now? Not so interested. I'm just going to sort of pass on it. Now, there's much more meaningful change that will be coming, hopefully at least, with a persistent perk system like this. Again, if it is the pro perk model. But But if it just lasts in the game, I think that's cool too, don't get me wrong. It's just that it's sort of serving a different purpose, really. I guess the way to look at it is the first system I described is more an emergent gameplay feature where certain things in your match would change based on what you were doing, and so it would be reactive in that sense, right? It would be emergent, whereas the second system is a little bit more deliberate. It's a little bit more controlled. It's a bit more of a build that you're creating. You might even have a tree. I mean, oh my God, this could be so cool, dude. Can you imagine you've got your stamina up main icon in the like loadout screen of your character? I don't even know what that would look like or what that would be or if there's going to be one, but you'd get your stamina up, right? And then you'd gain, let's say you'd gain 10 of these mystery points for completing the Easter egg. You could invest those points into a stam skill tree that branched in a couple of directions like a Borderlands, for goodness sake, if they wanted to. So you could go for like an aggression-based thing, like when you're sprinting and you've got your gun up, for example, maybe that's going to be a thing that you're going to be able to do in this game. You do more damage. That could be like an aggression tree. And then you could also have like a defense tree. When you're running, you take 10% less damage. Or you could have a utility tree. When you're running, zombies are more likely to pull to you so your teammates can get revives easier. Like they could so easily branch out into a more diverse model like that if they wanted to. I mean, okay, let me just pause. I'm not saying it would be easy to design. I'm saying that conceptually, it's an idea that I could imagine working really well. There are, of course, so many dev challenges that come with something like that, balancing it, finding a way to implement it where the gameplay doesn't just get too easy too fast or become infinitely difficult at the beginning when you don't have the upgrades, and figuring out all the nuances there is not straightforward. I'm sure it's a really tricky game design problem, but it's a problem that Treyarch, I'm sure, also have been working on for years now. They've clearly been paying attention to the perk system because Black Ops 4 did revolutionize the model, and so they clearly have their eyes on the problem, and I think this might be the year that we get a solution to it, which is really exciting. So Juggernog has changed. This is no longer the old Jug that we knew and loved and really wanted back for a really long time. This is a different beast now. It's a swankier one, it's got a new lick of paint, and it's gonna come with some kind of upgrades that are gonna be pretty cool for all of us. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm pumped, and if you want more videos like this, really important, please let me know. I'm gonna keep pumping out story videos, of course. I'm gonna have some breakdown content going up, of course. I'm gonna be talking about all sorts of things that are a bit more analytical, right? But I really wanna know if you guys also want videos like this from me, where I just sort of sit down and get amped about zombies. Like, if I can do that, I'm gonna be posting every day for the next 6 months, dude. Like, I'm so ready. So let me know, guys, in the comments down below what you wanna see, if this sort of stuff is good, or if you'd prefer just theory videos or just breakdown or whatever. I'm looking forward to making content for you guys this year in a really big way, and I'll see you soon. Okay, bye for now. Thanks, bye.